Hi, and welcome to Talkward. I'm Marty Dundix, editor-in-chief of Weekly Humorous Magazine, and this is Talkward, a fun little podcast where professionally funny people come to tell awkward and cringeworthy stories. I'm excited about today's guest because I didn't know anything about him before, like last week, and then a friend of mine reached out and said, "Hey, I have this incredibly talented comic in from the West Coast. He has to do your podcast." And I said, "Absolutely, I'm in." And it's Eric D'Alessandro.
Mm-hmm.
Eric D'Alessandro.
That's how we say it.
If I'm going to say
I'm
it,
from Staten Island. We've butchered D'Alessandro into D'Alessandro.
Staten Island.
Also, you and other people who aren't from this area, they don't say Eric. You say Eric.
Eric.
Eric. Good. Now do Eric.
Eric.
There you go.
That sounds feminine to me too, though. It's like you're doing almost.
Are
like
you saying there's something wrong with
like
being feminine?
No, just like
this is very Talkward.
You're saying like it's you're almost doing like a Staten Island woman's accent.
Just how we say Eric.
Is that how a guy would say it?
How would you say A-E, like the A-E-I-O? Well, I was doing the Italian one.
A-E-I-O-U.
And they make
Eh.
So you just say, you say air and Eric the same way, but
Eric.
A-I-R.
Eric. That's how I would say it.
This is very, very
we're doing lots
very
of
white.
We're doing
you have
phonics.
Blue eyes, and this is very white.
Well, thank you for noticing my eyes, Eric.
Welcome.
Sorry,
we're off to a quick start.
Welcome to Lower Manhattan. We're down here on Wall Street in New York City. It's a beautiful day. Isn't this nice? Look at these windows.
It is gorgeous out.
This is a great office to have when it's weather like this.
Very true. Mm-hmm.
And thanks for coming in.
Not
I'm excited
far from
to have
the ferry.
you. I didn't know anything about you.
Thanks.
But I looked you up and I was very excited, and then I got I had to clean up a lot. You know, when you have someone special's coming over and you're like, oh, I gotta put
clean
on
up this blood.
Yeah, I gotta mop this mess up, and I gotta put on my nicer clothes.
Yep.
You have a great bunch of stuff you've done. You kind of do everything.
I try.
You do a lot of really funny Instagram videos of great comedic, 54 seconds. You know, really fast stuff. Like you're really good at boiling down a joke into quick cuts.
Yes.
I was watching a bunch today, and then I didn't realize we were both at the Friars Club on Friday.
Yep.
There was an event downstairs I was at for the New York Comedy Music Festival, and then you were right upstairs, and I knew that there was a stand-up comedy show upstairs because a bunch of my buddies were coming down the stairs, finishing up their sets, and they were all going to Sean Donnelly's birthday party downtown at an Irish pub called, I think it's like Patty McDougal's or something like that. But
Sounds Irish.
They were literally all just flooding into this guy's birthday. It was his big birthday party, so everybody was going to it. And you were up there, and I didn't know, and I would have come up. That would have been so much fun.
How anti-serendipitous.
And it was a good bill up there. It was incredible. It was Mark Norman. It was Adam Mamawala. It was you.
So I did a show at I Play America in New Jersey a week ago from Friday, May 10th, and I had Jiggy, the comedian Jiggy. I think his first name is Mark Jiggy or something like that, but it goes by Jiggy Comedy. Check him out on Instagram. He invited me. He opened up at the iPlay show, and he invited me to do the Friars Club. So I get there, and then all of a sudden I see Mark Norman, and I'm like, oh my God, I've watched this guy on Conan and everywhere. Yeah. I was amazed that he was there, and it was an incredible show, an incredible opportunity. I want to thank him for having me there. It was a great time. It was.
Mark's great.
Awesome.
Mark is such a down-to-earth guy for being a guy who you could see him on The Tonight Show tomorrow.
Yep.
You could see him on Comedy Central or a Netflix special, and then you can go to a tiny place in New York City in a basement bar, and he'd be doing just as hard. He'll be killing. He'll be telling this, better jokes. He's just so accessible.
Yeah.
And you could talk to him after the show. He's just a really nice, genuinely nice person.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to him, but I was like, I'm not going to bother this guy.
Oh, you should bother him. He's fun. I do a show once a month called Guaranteed Delivery, and that's a stand-up comedy show downstairs. I'll show you. There's a fancy lounge downstairs in this building called the Mailroom. It looks like this nightclub. It's really cool. And
you're telling me you wanted to show me the mailroom of this building?
Yeah, I'm going to show you the mailroom.
Okay, cool.
It's a
This
huge...
is where we get mail.
There's a tiny window where we all get mail. This building all uses this place as a mailroom, but then there's actually this gigantic nightclub scene down there. Awesome. And Mark did the show, and if you were in town, you would do it next time. It's the first Tuesdays of the month is when we do it. So whenever you're back, let me know.
Oh, I will, definitely.
And I'll throw you up, because it was great. We had Rosebud Baker was on.
Wow.
Yeah, Sean Donnelly, Kevin McCaffrey usually hosts it. Wendy Starling,
Very cool.
Chloe Radcliffe is on coming up. Ian Fidance is coming on. So it's like a lot of the Comedy Cellar guys.
Very cool.
You know, who just like, and then people just like show up because New York is so much fun, and we can talk about New York versus L.A. for comedy, but comedy for stand-up is so much more fun in New York, I think, because people just kind of float from show to show in one night.
Oh, absolutely.
People can just get up here, get up there, do 10 minutes, do 15 minutes, and like you never know who you're going to see, and people just kind of like, oh yeah, I have time for this. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll come in and pop in there and see if they can fit me in. People just show up. They're like, hey, can I do 10? I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, we're running early or whatever, which never happens. We're never running early. But we just make the people sit there. We go over all the time. This is fun. So you're from Staten Island.
Correct.
You do stand-up. Mm-hmm. You also do acting. You were on Insecure on HBO.
Yes, I had a very compelling 2-second
That's great.
guest spot.
We don't have to tell the listeners that. They don't know.
It was
he was the star of the
I
second
won an Oscar
season.
for it. It was the first time they ever did comedy and a TV show.
What was it like being on a big HBO show?
Oh, it's incredible.
Was it fun?
Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. It was crazy at how much they filmed and then they just threw away. I thought that was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, like there was a whole scene with extras. I'm coming out of this bar and all this stuff. I had like food next to me and none of that was in the show. I'm just baffled by like how much they have to like. You know, they got to.
Yeah, definitely.
They have to edit down. I totally get it. I mean,
Who was your character?
the main character, Issa Rae, she was driving like a Lyft, and I was just a kid who got in, and I threw up in the back of her Lyft, and then it said Insecure. Like it was the part of the show, like the title sequence.
Oh, that's fun.
Which is the season premiere. So it was kind of cool.
That's a big one.
It was pretty cool.
That's a pivotal character.
It was. I know. I mean, the show would have fell apart without me.
You needed
that's
to
what my mom
be
said.
that guy vomiting in the car for her to realize things weren't going that well.
There you go. Without me, you basically don't have the show.
You opened up her eyes.
There you go.
It was at the season premiere of which
Season 3.
Oh, that was just on then.
Just on August. Yes.
That's huge. Had you been a fan of the show before you got it?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I didn't see like every episode, but I've absolutely watched it before, and I heard so many great things about it. Everyone like out there loves it and talks about it. So.
Do you have your own HBO Go password, or do you borrow people's?
I actually have my own.
Wow, what a grown-up.
I know. Only because Spectrum raised my rates, and I had no chance.
Spectrum. We have Spectrum out here.
I know. I don't really like it, but it's not that bad. LA doesn't have everything we have.
I trade, so I steal HBO from my parents. And
Actually, I'm sorry. When Insecure aired, it was my mom's HBO Go password.
Yeah.
They just raised my rates not that long. Now I have HBO.
I definitely use my mom's HBO Go password, and I let them have my Hulu and my Netflix. I feel like it's a good trade.
How does Netflix not regulate that? How they could just hey, here
there's
you go.
a certain amount
Everybody
of screens.
can have your own password.
They say 10 screens.
A lot of people.
And I feel like I think it's like you can't do it simultaneously.
That happened to me one time.
I've never been locked out of a Netflix account.
That happened to me one time.
Where you were watching it, it
Where
said
my girlfriend and I,
maximum,
and it said someone else's, so we'd have to go to mine. We're on hers, and like her sister was using it or something, so we had to use mine.
Interesting. Do you watch the Game of Thrones? That was just on Sunday.
Never.
Really?
Never. I tried to watch the first episode. I was like, I can't watch this at all.
I like to watch some. See, now is a good time for you to watch it because I like knowing what I'm getting into. Like, I like knowing how many I'm going to have to watch. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's 8 seasons for you to watch now. You know you have 8 seasons to watch.
Yeah.
If something
that's a good point.
If something wasn't ending and you were going to, like, start something, like, God, do I really have to start this now?
Yeah.
This could be 20 seasons of a show
Exactly.
I have to watch now. It's too much of a commitment.
Can't start watching The Simpsons now.
No,
You gotta wait for that to end.
Yes.
30 years.
You can erase maybe the first 5 seasons of
Do
that.
you be honest, man?
Yeah.
Do you like Game of Thrones because it's popular, or because you like Game of Thrones?
I got into Game of Thrones way late. Like, I binged. So I
Okay.
binged
So it's because it's
4
popular.
seasons in, like, a couple of weeks. I was like, I'm going to get into this. And if I really get into something, I watch all of it. And I watched all of Game of Thrones, like, maybe 4 seasons in, like, 2 weeks. I worked from home. I was just consuming it nonstop. And you get into a weird zone where you're like, oh, my God. And it is really interesting, but it does move very slow. Like, a lot of it you can kind of watch as you're in and out of the room. You know, I just had it running, and I was, like, doing stuff in the apartment. You don't have to pay attention to all of it. So much of it happened in the dark. There's nothing happening for many episodes.
I don't think that's a good sign. If you could be vacuuming, I don't need to
I
see
like a
this.
show, honestly.
I don't need to see Tricathian, where the hell his name
I
is.
like a show that you don't have to pay attention to very much. I like shows that you can kind of watch half.
Yeah.
I like shows that have commercials in the middle. I like a break. Like people who
I like a break. I like a good break.
People that
I'm not
watch
gonna get that with HBO.
People that watch TV and they hate commercials. I watch TV on like a digital tuner, and I like having a time where I get to be like, okay, I get to go to the kitchen, or like I don't like pausing a show.
I've noticed we've come so far that like one time my girlfriend and I were watching something and I paused it so we could like make food or something, and then I was like, "Oh, we can catch up." She's like, no, leave the commercials on. I want to check like my phone.
I like to know what's happening in the
People
world.
like a break now.
I like a break,
That's
and
true.
I also like to see what's advertised. Like I like seeing what the heck the new thing is that someone's
Okay.
spending a lot of money on to get my eyeballs on.
Yeah.
What is the new thing?
I know.
Usually, it's just like
It's like diet pills and
diet pills,
depression,
dick pills. Depends what network you're watching. Like I watch a lot of Cozy TV because it has reruns of Murder, She Wrote.
My mom loves that show.
I love it. And it's definitely aimed towards the 65 to 80, and
A lot of coffin commercials.
it's a lot of planning for your death.
Yep.
Like every other.
Alex Trebek they use a lot, right?
It's a lot.
You're
It's
talk about the Colonial
Pen. It's all about like. For
I see that on
$5 a
Price
month,
is Right.
Don't be such a burden to your family.
I know.
Okay.
You thought you could die and get away with it?
Yeah. Don't be such a burden. And it's just like an old lady. It's like, I just want you to know that I've taken care of everything for my family. Like, I'm not going to be a burden
it really
to you.
is so messed up
Don't
the way they're like,
be a
you see
burden.
the old woman is like, well, I wasn't going to leave my son with the burden of planning my funeral. You
Yeah.
should call this company. It's so messed up.
Meanwhile, I'm like, God, who can I leave my debt to?
Hell yeah, right?
I'd like to Can I actually name people in my will that my debt gets assigned to?
My grandma
That would be
actually-
wonderful.
My grandma actually died of cancer years ago. I was very young. And my dad was like, why doesn't she just, max out her credit card? She knows she's going to die.
Because it would go to you.
I don't think it does.
I think it goes to
your
the
credit
family.
card debt. I don't know if it does.
Well, that would be a huge loophole.
I know, right?
If your dick gets erased when you die.
I'm dying. Let's go
That's
buy
why
that
people-
Ferrari.
Well, that would be great. If you had like a
gotta
black
be
card,
something, right?
there has to be something that prevents people from doing it. There would be a
I don't
lot
know,
more.
though. I don't know.
There's an asterisk someplace. It's like maybe.
That's the fine print somewhere.
That's why people. What you could be like, I have. If to your credit card companies, if you're not paying your bills, be like, well, just to let you know, I've added you to my life insurance policy. So the second I kick it, there's a policy just for you, and they could be like, all right, fine, we're gonna wait this out, or they start trying to murder you. That could happen too.
Murder, She Wrote. It all comes back.
God, it all does come back to Murder, She Wrote.
There you go.
So you are from Staten Island,
Yes.
and how did you start out in comedy?
So I am of the new generation of internet comedians, pretty much. I've been making like my own little videos since I was very, very young.
Because your Instagram, you have almost 70,000 followers on Instagram. That's a lot.
It should have been more by now, to be honest with you. I just no. In all honesty, like I showed up to the YouTube party like really, really early.
Yeah.
I had some sort of like, wasn't a viral video, but in 2009, like. I had a pretty decent, like, it was very local, very Staten Island, very like Italian and very, very niche. But that sort of blew up, and it was like I was making fun of like the spoiled brat Italian princess Sweet 16, and I made a parody of that whole thing, and I got a big following from that.
Is that a quinceañera?
It's basically for Italians. It's a Sweet 16. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a year later. The quinceañera is 15.
15. Is that Italian?
No, that's Spanish.
Spanish.
What is it in Italian? It's Queen. Oh my God, my mom's gonna kill me. Quindici. That's Quindici. That's it.
All
Okay.
right.
Anyway, so I was doing this stuff for a while, and then I got on World Star Hip Hop. I did a couple of videos on there. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like this big hip hop blog about like it was really.
But they were comedy
and
videos.
They were comedy videos,
Okay.
and then they would also do. But World Star had like rap videos, comedy videos, like fight videos. It's a very big high school like website. So that got me a bunch of followers. And then I was always afraid of like the new because like YouTube went from like this thing where people kind of like respected you as an artist because like you were like considered a weirdo for making videos when I was like 16, right? And then now every kid makes a video, and it's considered normal. But when I was doing it, it was sort of like, oh, this weirdo kid. Why does he have a video camera in the 6th grade?
Yeah.
So when I was doing videos, I was like, I had a head start. And then it was like, oh, wow, these people, like the new generation of like comedians that are going to be on MTV and Comedy Central. And then overnight, it felt like the opinion switched to any asshole with a camera can do this in their bedroom. So it's sort of like, it was like an insult to say someone's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Almost like taking away the validity of your, comedic timing or writing or everything. It just was like, you're no longer now we're taking that away from you.
Yeah.
And being a YouTuber is just begging for subscribers and telling people to smash the like button. So I ran from that, and I sort of like disappeared. I stopped putting stuff on the internet, and I started working with a manager. I was going to acting classes. I did UCB improv. I was trying to get auditions. I did a lot of extra work, trying to do it like the quote unquote official way, right?
Yeah.
And then over time, I just started to miss it. I realized like where did my roots come from? Where did that initial fan base come from? I made an 1.5-hour movie kind of talking about that. I made it myself. I just made it about being from Staten Island, having this bad like reputation, being from there and trying to make it, and how no one really is a dreamer out there. And it's called 5 Miles from the Spotlight. You can watch it on YouTube. It's an 1.5-hour movie. And then I started to think about like, I like this feeling of doing it by myself again. And I started to realize that like, I shouldn't be running from this internet. I should be using the internet. So I started, and then I realized when I moved to Los Angeles last year, and I was like, I'm just going to get back to basics.
That's a big move.
Yeah. I was thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And it was so much more. Obviously, it was my managers are out there, and it was a bigger opportunity for me to like just more auditions and stuff like that. But it was more of just like being away and just waking up and only thinking about comedy. Because when you're at home and I was living at my parents' house, you know, they wanted to eat dinner at a certain time. I have like, whose freaking cousin's birthday party was it? And there was so many things going on.
Do you have a lot of family and stuff?
I'm an Italian family. That
Big
goes without
family.
saying. My mom was one of 11 children. So
oh, wow.
There's just, you know.
Are they all in Staten Island?
They all fall out of the closet. No, they're in Brooklyn, but Brooklyn, Jersey. But it's just, it's a very big thing where I come from. And now my siblings.
So you moved away to avoid going to nonstop weekend picnic parties and
pretty much
birthday parties.
That's a pretty big part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that at face value, but when I moved away, I was like, wow, this is what freedom and alone time
this
feels
is really
like.
opening up my
So
schedule.
like, I mean, like even before I was doing something so stupid at my house, and I'm like, my mom was like banging around. I'm like, I miss living on my own, where if I want to do a skit, there's no one around, just dead silence. It's just, so when I moved out there, I started doing this interesting thing where, so I did stand up over those years too, like when I was trying to like reinvent myself and like out of the spotlight, not having anybody like have nothing online. I started doing open mics around the city, so I started to get comfortable on stage. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, I realized that like, in my opinion, I'm trying to do my own thing where it's like kind of take from each lane sort of, and like instead of going to an open mic and doing comedy where I feel like I don't really know what that's for anymore at my level. I'm not saying I'm too good for it. I'm definitely not too good for it. But like, you go to an open mic and there's 5 other comedians there who are all nervous to go up.
Yeah.
So I don't know who you're trying jokes for. I don't know who's going to see you. I don't really know what the process is for after a certain level.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Instead of doing these bits on stage, I'm going to try them out on Instagram.
Right.
And that's what I started doing. So I would write a minute bit, do it on Instagram, and instead of reaching 4 comedians trying to get on stage, I'd reach 10,000 people. Yeah. And then 20,000, 30,000. So it's kind of how it worked. And then I've built an hour around that format. So people, if you come to one of my shows, there's definitely things you've seen on Instagram. It's just they're 10 minutes, 15 minutes instead of 1 minute. So that's basically what got me
and
here.
It's kind of like A and B testing. Also, you can try something out. I guess the positive thing about going to an open mic is getting the beats down for the jokes, right? So
100%.
You're just getting out exactly the words and how the words can be tweaked and how to tweak them to the best way.
I've always felt like I was naturally just better with that. That was never really a struggle for me. Yeah. And it's interesting, man. The laughs come when I kind of anticipated that they would. I'm not, look, if you've never done stand-up comedy, you have to do open mic. Like, that is 100% you have to do that.
Because you need the feedback, live feedback.
Not even that. You need just to be on stage with the microphone in front of people, and you need to feel those nerves. That's 100% real. But I was trying to just get, like, I knew that I could use the internet in a better way instead of wasting 10 years, not wasting, but instead of spending 10 years in 1980, which was, you had to, I'm like, we live in a new era where I can manipulate this in a way and make it work for me to where I can have like a shortcut kind of. Now, there's definitely going to be comedians that say this kid's an idiot. That's not how you do comedy. He's destroying it. And I totally understand. If I wanted to be a stand-up comedian like for my whole life, I don't really want to do that forever. Yeah, I'm a writer. I want to write and act in my own things. That's
more of a multi-platform.
I just think that nowadays there's no rules anymore.
Yeah.
There is no rules. And I just... If you want to see if your stuff is funny, you need an actual crowd. Yeah. People on a Friday night. You don't get those on a Monday afternoon at the back of a bar.
Yeah.
Where it's 8 other kids who none of them know a reference to a rap song or a pop song because they're all comedy nerds who don't get the reference. It's like this isn't a real audience.
You can reach if you have a very specific joke.
Yeah.
You can reach that audience on Instagram.
Correct.
You can hashtag it
Absolutely.
or whatever, and then boom, that person sees it.
I just felt like I did, Drake, Drake the rapper, do you not? So I felt like when I was 23 or 24, I would do this bit on stage. I still do it. But I would feel, especially when I was 24, he was even bigger than he is now. He was just at the height of his fame. I felt like that was not a very obscure reference. It's like mentioning to me, it's like Elvis. That's something that's so obvious. I did a stand-up show in the city somewhere, in here in Manhattan somewhere, and I was like, hey, any Drake fans? There was 12 guys, and none of them knew who he was.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen at the Comedy Store on a Friday night.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
So that's the problem with the open mic, where it's like, okay, this could be doing well in front of an actual audience, but since these kids are only doing Game of Thrones references,
right,
they're not going to get normal.
Right.
That's what I found. I was like, I don't really like this format.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Who am I trying material for? Just other kids who are nervous to get on stage. It's not really practicing.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're funny.
Exactly.
It's you might as well do it in your bedroom.
Right.
So that's kind of where my frustration came from. And I started doing it for Instagram instead. And then I was reaching just more and more people. And then it led to me doing shows. And
then the people that go to those shows want to see you. Right?
They want to see me. They want to see the things I've done already.
Yeah.
They definitely want to see new stuff, which I think I have 85% of things they've never seen.
Yeah.
But I do want to see the typical stuff that I do and their favorite bits and stuff like that. I just think it works beautifully.
Yeah.
Man. Like I just think I just think it's a new thing that other comedians are going to do.
And then do you have a schedule that you always post things on Instagram, like every Monday, every week?
I try to do, I used to do 3, I was really trying to do 3 a week, but now it's not so much pressure. I definitely do 2 a week. Last week I only did 1 because I had a video that was doing really, really well, and I felt like, and I've noticed in retrospect, if you can kind of step on that progress.
Yeah.
Like if you post too soon, it'll like kill your video doing really well still.
Yeah.
So I let that one breathe a little bit.
And do you jump on like current event topics?
Yeah, sometimes. It has to be very organic. I mean,
Yeah.
I have notes in my phone just like any other comedian, which I want to talk about, and then I'll just hit them at certain points. But being from here, people want me to do certain types of things. Like I did one making fun of like a Staten Island Italian communion party and how they're just like, you'd think you're going to like the Met Gala when it's just a kid putting on a white tuxedo.
Yeah.
So there's those things. And then like once, I mean, my girlfriend mentioned something about Kim Kardashian one day, and I was like, oh, that's a good. So I talked about that.
Yeah.
That did pretty well.
I thought I was watching something that you just had on Twitter that I think you probably have everything on Twitter.
Yeah,
also on
it's the same
Instagram.
thing.
And it was about it was the more the merrier, and you said what was it?
The less the lovelier.
The less the lovelier. I thought that was very funny. And that's
thank you.
And that translates, like that's the way that most good jokes, whether it's done traditionally like stand up, or if it's written, or you see it on a video, like it's the idea, and if the idea is a relatable thing, people say, "Yeah, I know, me too. I hate people."
Yes, exactly.
Then they would think it's funny. Like you said, like I'd love this movie if this guy that you brought wasn't with us. I'd be having a much better time. You're like, yeah, that weirdo who's with me is ruining the movie. He's not saying anything, but I don't like that.
And
he's
it doesn't
with
make
us.
any sense, but people feel that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're like, I don't know who this is. I don't like him. I want him to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. And that was a great bit.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, that would do well in any, bar in Brooklyn or online or at any major club.
Yeah, I mean, that's my opinion on it. And I know that there's definitely
But also the problem with live comedy, and it's the crowds. It's not about the comics. That's what I
Absolutely.
found. So I do the show, a Guaranteed Delivery downtown, and we have great comics every month. And I've many times had great comics, TV comics, but the crowd is off. It's not the comics who are off. It's that the crowd's not really there, and maybe they're drunk or they're not paying attention. They're not really into it because it's whatever. And, it just, so it's like people who have done amazing things are just having a really terrible time at the show. You're just like, ugh, I feel, and as a producer, you feel you're like, that was a bad show. It's not them.
Yeah.
It was me. Like the people I brought in were terrible. And then I try to find people in different ways. I'm like, try to find people who are really, really into this kind of comedy, and I try to find where they are and market to them because I want them to come to the show.
And I think there's two arguments there. Like there's one that someone's going to say that's how a comedian should always feel, because that's basically when you sell any product anywhere, you're trying to get your demographic, right?
Right.
okay, if I sell whatever, if it's a baseball or it's like a Mets sweatshirt, I'm trying to get baseball fans who are cold, right?
Right.
So like comedians kind of have a different, depending on who you talk to, there's different opinions. Like there's either that, yes, sell to your demographic and get really good, or you should work to get every crowd there is.
Yeah.
Which I totally agree with, but not in a very like broad sense. Like my point of view is very like, it's very East Coast. It's very sarcastic. It's very like, I guess you could say maybe mean-spirited, just where like we're very like, honest or whatever. So the politically correct like new people are never going to like me because I'm way too blunt, right? So like I don't think I'm ever going to be that mainstream as, I don't know, name a comedian that you like that's mainstream. But like even Jerry Seinfeld has said he's had problems with like, being politically correct nowadays, which is crazy. But the cleanest guy you can imagine.
Oh, totally. Well, there's all these young kids now who are like, I would say maybe college kid age, who were coming out against some old episodes of Seinfeld that at the time were winning all these awards
that's ridiculous.
Like GLAAD or whatever. Like they were like, it was like, we were moving, things forward for the gay community, and now they're seeing these episodes that are focused around gay acceptance, and they were like, this was terrible. This is anti-gay.
It doesn't.
And you're like, no, it was
30 years ago. First of all,
it wasn't.
It doesn't matter.
It was good.
If anybody's, even Jerry Seinfeld, one episode he was talking about like, I like Chinese girls. He was like, are you allowed to say that?
Can you say the word Chinese?
He's like, because that's racist. He goes, if I like it, how is that racist?
Exactly.
It's basically exactly this. Nothing really has changed that much with that show. It's just I think about that all the time. Like, I'll say something like I think it's funny. I ask my girlfriend, I'm like, man, never mind. They did that on Seinfeld. They literally did that on Seinfeld. Everything I think of, they did that on Seinfeld.
Yeah,
they're so.
But that goes back. I mean, if you watch all the episodes of I Love Lucy, I Love Lucy did everything that like a sitcom does in some sort of a formulaic way. Like they kind of laid this groundwork that everyone's kind of been redoing and improving for years and years and years. Oh,
totally.
And it's fun to see like the story constructs of like an I Love Lucy episode. It's all like, slight misunderstandings.
Yeah.
But it's like,
sneaking around.
That's every episode of Three's Company, and that's every episode of this. You're like,
Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, it's every. We heard that wrong. Oh, it's crazy, Screech. And yeah, that's how everyone's doing it. So, and that makes it for internet comedians and just anybody doing comedy now. It's so much different because you're able to see everyone's work, and everyone can tweet something and Instagram something. So, how do you make sure that you're doing things originally? People worry about jokes all the time.
Yeah, I've had people tell me that I've stolen stuff, and the best I can do is just say I didn't.
Yeah,
like I mean. Comedians think of the same thing.
Yeah,
like, there's nothing
parallel thought.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like how many bits about airplanes are there?
Exactly,
there's 1,000. I mean,
and everybody has the same life experiences.
Of course, so especially as a comedian, you fly a lot. You know the same thing. You're all kind of hating people, and like, it's tough. But as soon as someone mentions it, I'll take it down. Or if oh crap, you're right, that was Bill Burr or whatever. I will stop doing it.
Yeah, I
just sometimes it can even be in the back of your mind. Sometimes I could be from a Chappelle thing I saw when I was 10 and don't even realize.
Yeah.
But it's good that people, can let you know about it. Like back in the day, you couldn't. How would you, as an audience member, let someone know? Yeah. Now it's in the comments section. It's like, okay, well, there you go. I see it right there.
What's your biggest video you've ever had on Instagram?
So there's one that's a little controversial. The biggest one I had. The current one I just did has over 11,000 likes, 11.6 thousand. That's the biggest one I've ever had.
Yeah.
There was one before that, but there was controversy with it. Another comedian says that I stole it from him. I never did.
Yeah.
We had a great conversation about it. He agreed that mine was different enough. Then a week went by, and his manager got in his ear or something. He was like, "You better take this down. I'm going to sue you."
Wow.
I have all the proof in the world that I did not steal from him. I even have him admitting that it was different enough. He just changed. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to give this guy the satisfaction. I just took it down.
What was the video about?
It was about Italians being on Family Feud.
Oh.
So I, whatever. But, what's crazy is Facebook is still pretty relevant. I've noticed that my demographic is also kind of a little bit older than what they used to be. It used to be like, young girls, like 18, 19. Yeah. I think I still have a little bit of them, but like now it's like moms and like even like grandmas. Like I've noticed like women at my shows are like 50s, 60s, which because I think that's all because of Facebook.
Good.
I think it's because of Facebook, and they have money too.
They have more money.
They got money to spend.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who love sharing stuff on Facebook. Like my Facebook videos get like hundreds of thousands of views, and on Instagram it's like 50,000 or whatever. But yeah, it's the Facebook.
I'm horrible at Facebook. I don't know why. Like the algorithms are against me. Like nothing goes anywhere, and
it's a grind, man. It really is a grind. It's a grind. Like how often do you post?
How do you promote things on Facebook? Like how do you get people to see? Like you have the followers already.
So pretty much, like I said, like I had to get back on the horse.
Yeah.
Like, so I basically had a little bit of a following. I was that kid who made Marie Sweet 16. That was like what I was known for. And then I disappeared for a while, did things like not in public. And then when I came back, I was always afraid of like doing that Staten Island point of view again, like the Italian, making fun of the way the girls speak. It's like I wanted to grow as an artist, but people don't give a crap about that. So I was like, all right, let me go back to, let me put my clown shoes on again. So I was like, all right, before I moved to Staten Island, I did Marie's wedding, which is basically I parodied weddings nowadays, these big Staten Island weddings, the same way I made fun of the Sweet 16. And that got me back like where I was kind of. That did really well. And so then it was like people sort of anticipating the next thing. Mm-hmm. And then I just didn't stop. Like I was posting 3 videos a week for a year straight, which is hard to do.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
And then I started doing these little.
Is that just one camera?
It's just my my iPhone.
Just your phone?
What's crazy is, man, like I've noticed that the harder I work, the less people care too. Like I think I did a good a parody of Ariana Grande's song, like "Thank You Next." I did like the male point of view, like how like no, it was the girls, blah blah blah. I thought that was good, and she did all these like women movies, like like Bring It On,
right,
and, like,
right.
blah, blah. I did Silly, I did Ace Ventura, Superbad, Night at the Roxbury, and what the hell, and then Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. One of my favorite movies. So I thought that was gonna kill, and it just fell flat.
And it took you forever.
It took me a while. I put so much effort into it, and then it's like they just want to see me talk, do my bits, and I've literally noticed what works. So I've abandoned anything. I've always like just abandoned
That's
that.
good. So high production value doesn't help.
Means nothing anymore. Means not. And I come from an editing background, so like that's all I knew. And my friend is an incredible like cinematographer. He had the Steadicam, this Ronin. He has a red camera. It was it was shot so beautifully. And I was like, this is going to be so cool. And then it was just like, go back to talking on your couch.
Just hold up your iPhone. That's
exactly.
all we need.
So I learned that, though, man. It took a little while to learn that. And then I just was like, all right, this is what people want. And then I used to, like, run from that. It would like, all right, for some reason, this is working. Let me run from this and do something different because I don't want to be put in a box. But now I'm like, you know what? If that's what people want, I'm just going to keep hammering it away. And then I do put things that I, like, random things I'll put in there that mean something to me that aren't so specific, and they still do pretty well.
So what do you want to do? If you could pick to be successful in one thing in comedy, do you want to be just like a sellout crowd stand-up comedian, or do you want to be selling videos? Do you want to be on TV, having your own show? Like,
I think I would like
the thing.
The dream. I've always looked at stand-up comedy as like Jim Carrey's way in. Because Jim Carrey, he was huge in stand-up, but no one's ever seen him do it ever again.
It was his way to become in front of the people to get that next thing.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I love writing. I've even made that. I hate. I don't really. Not that I hate doing it. I don't want to destroy that character of like this Marie character that I made. So I turned that into like a cartoon that I've been doing, like with these Animoji videos. Mm-hmm. I've like created all these like characters. I would love to develop that into a show.
Yeah.
Like the Italian Simpsons or something.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen is a great example of someone who just writes and makes movies. He just has a great life.
If you have a good niche, I mean, being in a niche isn't a bad thing.
I've learned to embrace it.
Being that Staten Island guy who's able to appeal to the moms on Facebook, that's great for if you want to have a sitcom.
Oh, totally.
Where you're the main character.
Oh, yeah.
And you're a Staten Island boy coming home from the West Coast with this gigantic Italian family.
Yeah, I'm writing a movie. I'm hoping to get that done. I'm working on. I'm trying to develop a show that I believe in, but I'm definitely closer with the script. But yeah, that's my main goal. I would like to get to a point where I can leverage a fan, like just show numbers. I'm able to this.
It's funny. That's all people care about. I mean,
that's
the talent and the jokes and all that are needed. But if someone takes you on, they're like,
it's a business.
Oh, how many followers do you have?
Yep.
how many,
And I finally learned that, and that's all
how many
I care about.
retweets,
Yep.
like how many things, how far does your voice go?
Yeah.
And like when it's everything, it's like book authors, it's actors, it's everything.
God.
It's like, oh, what's your built-in marketing base?
And that's the cool thing about doing stand-up in the way that I've done it is I'm sort of building both at the same exact time. So, like, I don't know if anybody... I'm not really big into YouTubers, but I've noticed that there's, like, this trend of, like, people getting to 1 million, 2 million, and then that's it. You don't see them on TV. You don't see them in movies. They just stay on the internet. I'm hoping that having an hour and a half of stand-up material that I've done, I can sell myself as more legitimate than just a kid online.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of doing both at the same time. So when I do get to the 100,000, 200,000 mark, I will have done... X amount of stand-up shows that, kind of, like, puts that stamp of approval of, like, oh, he can actually do this. It's
would
not
you
just
take
internet.
all of your things you've done and would you put them into a stand-up special, like an album?
I've thought about... So I have an hour now that I'm, like, sort of touring. Like, I'm still just booking places around the New York area. I have Governor's Comedy Club, June 14th and 15th. The 14th... Both shows are sold out, but the 15th there's still tickets left. So
where do people go to get tickets?
Governor's Comedy Club, Long Island. I just put Governor's Comedy Club or on my Instagram page too. There's a link there with all my links.
And that's in Long Island?
Long Island, yep.
Nice.
So that's actually the place where Louis C.K. came back to try his for the first time. So it's like a real comedy club. I'm really excited about that one. So this is kind of like touring this special, I guess you'd say, or like this hour that I've been doing. And then I think maybe next year if I do again, maybe I'll try to come up with another one or whatever. But that's basically...
How long has it taken you to put together an hour of comedy?
So it's very, very untraditional.
Because it's an hour of good comedy. So you've probably come up with 6 hours of comedy, and then you've probably whittled it down to an hour that you keep.
Not the way that I've done it.
Your hour is just 100% the hour that you put together?
Yes.
That's great.
So what happened was I was contacted by the college that I went to. Never graduated, still shy, but still like 12 credits shy.
Really?
But it's on Staten Island, and I was going to do a show there, and then it just like fell apart. Like it didn't go through, whatever reason. So then I did this other little place on Staten Island, this like just restaurant. And the guy was like, how long do you want to do? I was like, I guess I'll do 45 minutes. Is that good? And he was like, okay. So I just...
Did you have any material?
I had the stuff that I tried on Instagram.
Okay.
And then I just made them longer.
Yeah.
I just did the bits that I did old stuff so people kind of, new followers really wouldn't know about, kind of, I guess. And then they've gone so well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
You seem surprised. And that's
I
nice.
was. No,
yeah.
I really was, because like I said, I didn't really try all this out in front of like, an audience. Like I remember I did on another. So then I did each month. I was doing more and more shows on Staten Island, and then I finally did one in Jersey. But like, I put together an hour, not knowing if what's going to land and what's not going to land, and the things that I was like iffy about, like really, really killed, and I was like really, really learning to just breathe in, like let the breaks come, and like if they're laughing, don't step on the laugh, just let it. Like I learned doing an hour a night for 3 nights in a row. That makes you so much better, so much faster than doing open mics. Yeah. It's crazy. Which is another reason why I just think it's just the new way people are going to do it in the future, because it's just so much faster. But yeah, man, I just like made up.
That's awesome.
I just like made up an hour.
Well, the difference is, I feel like the way that you are going about this and executing it is very different than a lot of people that do stand up in an open mic situation, in that they become addicted to the going up on stage in front of the live people and telling a couple of jokes. Like that rush is what it's like heroin or whatever.
I've noticed
and you don't have that. Yours is different.
I don't have that rush. I don't have that sense of elation. I have none of that. It's hard to say, but like, there's no way to say this without sounding like a douchebag, but like I was always popular. Like I was always the funny kid. I was always the funny kid. I wasn't the theater geek. Yeah. I wasn't at the table making fun of the cool kids. I was at the cool kids table. Like they were cooler than me probably, but I was like one of them. So like this feeling of like getting attention wasn't like new to me. I'm the baby of my family.
Yeah.
So everything Eric always did, I was always a million people looking at him. So like I kind of run from the spotlight in a way, and people don't understand that. So like they can't. You don't want people to look at you on stage or a microphone with a spotlight. It's like but literally like when I'm off that, I don't want anybody to like. I'm very uncomfortable and I'm very like awkward and quiet or whatever. So I don't like when I'm a huge fan of Comedians in Cars.
I love it.
It's fantastic. So like everything Jerry Seinfeld talks about a comedian is, I'm so the opposite of it. Like everything he always talks about, like the rush of getting on stage, I feel none of that. Like it's always it's the thrill. Just got to get up every night. I'm like I hate getting up. I just you know what I mean. Like it's so different for me in every way. So I'm definitely not a comedian's comedian. Like they would probably rip me apart and say this kid's an idiot. He's never going to go anywhere. I totally understand where they're coming from. And because I don't really want to. Like my main goal would not be to sell at Madison Square Garden. It would be to make a movie. It would be to have a show or to be writing on something or creating something or making my own version of like The Office or Curb Your Enthusiasm or something like that. And I don't know if that's bad, but it's working for me.
I don't think it's bad.
It's working for me,
and it's what you want to do.
I think it's a new thing. I'm not trying to say I'm the new Kevin Hart or anyone. I'm just saying that's what's working for me. I think it's a new brand of comedy that is. Very now, and I'm using social media so much. Yeah. And it's kind of like what specials are, That's kind of like I talked to the old the legendary comedians like just like Jerry Seinfeld, who talking to Dana Carvey or someone on Comedians in Cars, and they would basically say how that was like an ad for your special, your special was an ad to some people will come see you. Like you watch someone on Letterman, you want to go see their show. Right. It's kind of what my Instagram is. It's just instead of a late night show, it's on Instagram. Yeah. So,
that's awesome. So when you're in Los Angeles, and you're making videos a couple times a week, and you're going out for auditions,
correct? Yeah.
Are you doing like commercial stuff?
No.
You were on Insecure.
Yeah.
We talked about that, I think, offline.
Okay.
I don't think we were recording.
Were we recording?
I don't remember.
I don't even know. We might have been. But I did. So my first. So the directors of the movie Nerve came out. So Nerve was a movie that came out 3 years ago now in July. The directors saw my videos.
So what was Nerve about?
Nerve was a really ridiculous movie. I honestly was thinking I was going to like make fun of it. Like I was in this silly teen movie. It was ridiculous. Nerve is an app on your phone. It's very now that you have to do like dares to win money. So like it gets really crazy. And
I think I heard about this,
dude. It was really good. Yeah, like I swear, I remember.
And you were in this.
I was in it. I have a very small part. Okay. I had a scene where I was doing my Drake impression rapping. That got cut out of the movie, unfortunately. I was telling everybody I was so excited. And they're like, "Oh, were you an extra? When the hell were you in this movie?" So I have one line on camera. It's my hair is atrocious. I was trying to grow it long. So the directors, it was almost
just go see the movie to see that.
Yeah, it was almost done filming, and then they were like, "Okay, we're just gonna have this kid come in, and just like be there." Like I think they liked the fact that I was from Staten Island. The character Emma Roberts played, it was supposed to be from Staten Island. So like I think they liked that I brought like authenticity or whatever. Yeah. So that was my first like big thing, and then that sort of started.
And that took place in New York, right? Yeah, and they were running around the city. It was almost like a treasure hunt type.
Yeah, it was. I swear, how I describe Nerve, it's like you remember Fast Times, Ridgemont High. Yeah, how that just captured the '80s beautifully. Yeah, I think that movie captures like this social media, like fast, like generation, like so beautifully. Like it's so now. It was just really, really good. Like. It was really good.
Because you're
the music in that movie is ridiculous.
Since you're like an internet comedian, and everything's measured on likes and retweets and that kind of stuff. Like, what's the limit? Like, what's going to happen? Because aren't people just going to get tired of constantly retweeting and liking things without any giving back? I feel like it's very one-sided a lot of times. Yeah. Because people keep on liking, but they're not getting liked. So at some point, aren't they going to stop liking? I don't know. It might be a bigger question of humanity.
It sounds like something someone would say who doesn't want it to last.
I like being liked.
Would you admit that's true?
No. I like it. I mean,
so here's the thing.
I have a small startup. I need to get people to look at me all the time, and people do. And I tweet and I Instagram and I do better on Twitter and Instagram than I do on Facebook. Yeah. And a lot of the stuff for Weekly Humorist is a lot of cartoons. They do really great on Instagram. We have jokes and articles. Those do really well on Twitter. So it's fun. It's fun to be in this because it's an equalizer. All the social media is an equalizer for comedy. So you can be a comedian in the middle of Ohio who's not known anywhere, but if you're funny and you put it up on Instagram or Twitter and people see it, they'll react because it's like legitimately funny, you know.
Absolutely.
Like, and that's the good thing. That's the fun thing about social media is anybody can be as good as they want to be, because if they have the chops, people will notice, and it's like the cream rises to the top, and then that angers people who are in the industry because they don't like that way because they had to bust their ass the old way.
Here's what I have to say about that. I was that person.
Yeah.
I hated the fact that like this kid just got lucky on Vine.
I remember Vine.
I did the hard work and like I've been writing and I've been trying all this stuff. Unfortunately, at a certain point, I was like, wow, okay, I was completely wrong, and I sound like somebody who was a vaudeville actor and thought this TV fad's gonna go away.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is, man.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. If anything, it's the opposite. TV is going somewhere.
But what's happening next? Like, what's going to be beyond it?
If I knew that, I'd be a billionaire. So I wouldn't be here.
VR?
Could be.
Oculus?
I just think that, like, this dude, think about it, man. The iPhone, like, where streaming and, like, watching YouTube and that being a part of your life, that's not even 10 years old.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the iPhone's more than 10 years, but, like, having it as big of a deal. Like, I had a BlackBerry 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, like, it didn't take over the world until
I'm noticing
like 7 or 8 years ago.
It's annoying me, but I'm noticing it. The social media and everything is coming up as like plot lines in television and movies too much,
and they never do it well. It's always fake.
They never do it well.
They never use a cell phone how people actually use cell phones. I've always noticed. Like,
yeah, because most of the time
they don't text realistically.
I'd be like, "This isn't working. I don't have any service. My battery's dead." Like that's reality.
Yeah,
but that never happens in television. It always works.
It's so forced.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can tell it's like some 40-year-old guy trying to imagine how he thinks a 13-year-old acts with Snapchat. It's never real.
No.
I've always noticed that. Like it is weird to like, and I've always noticed there needs to be more realistic shit, but a lot of it is silent.
Yeah.
Waiting for a girl to text you back. I mean, could be an episode, but not really.
Sometimes they do put the chat bubbles on the screen fairly well now. They're getting better at that.
That feels forced. It feels like, I don't know.
It is.
Man.
I mean, like you're reading.
Exactly.
Just
because
reading.
That's such a bigger part of our lives now that you can't really film that.
Right.
A lot of the anxiety is internal.
Right.
And it's not like, you're by yourself with your Snapchat message read and she hasn't responded yet. It's like, it's just you in your room alone. You're going to show that on screen. It's like not too much writing.
Yeah.
That's why like a lot of stuff, a lot of people may feel that like TV isn't good anymore because they all feel like they're trying too hard, or they're left in the past, or they're trying to be like cool with the future, and it's falling flat. I don't know. I haven't watched the new show in a long time.
What do you watch?
I don't really watch anything. That's the biggest problem too. When I have like these general meetings with casting directors, like, so what do you watch? I'm like, don't know. I've seen
Seinfeld.
I've seen one Avengers movie. The first one.
Yeah, I tried. I watched Iron Man, and
I loved Iron Man.
Maybe Iron Man 2 or something.
I've never seen Captain America.
I watched the first Avengers. I watched that was really good, and then it was like I blinked, and all of a sudden there were 10 movies that had passed.
I feel the exact same way.
And I was like, what? And there was like all these Thor movies. I'm like, there's more than one Thor movie. Like, who are all these people?
Never knew that.
And then this movie came out, and everyone's like, oh, I got to go see this movie, and I was like, well, how many movies do I have to have watched? And it was
it's like what you said before about you have to when you're going to start watching a show, but these haven't ended yet, and there's no end in sight.
So then I went and I watched Civil War or whatever it was, just to kind of see what was going on. I was like, okay, and nothing really happened in that movie other than a bunch of fights and then like a bunch of short little dialogues with all these multitude of characters. And I'm like, okay, I guess I don't know. It all seemed like a soap opera.
Yeah,
they crammed too many
what
characters.
What I see in the trailer is finally someone who can finally defeat the powerful superheroes, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like, and then they win somehow in the end. So it's the same movie over and over again.
I was watching Hulu, and I started watching. Popped up the oddest things pop up on Hulu, and it was like they just serve you something, and it was the Mindy Project, which I never watched. And now it's off the air. And I always think it's fun when something pops up that you've never watched and it's like 2 years off the air, but it had like 6 seasons. And then you watch it and you're like, wow, this is really funny.
I could see
Where
that
was
being,
I 6 years ago?
I could see that being great. My sister read her book and said she's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a huge
she wrote
fan
a lot
of
of
her
the
now.
Office. She wrote a lot of the Office episodes.
I didn't
fantastic.
watch her and I didn't pay any attention. And now I'm like, wow, this Mindy Kaling?
Yep.
She's hilarious.
She's in The Office. She's incredible.
Yeah, she's great.
Hysterical.
She's so funny.
Yeah.
That Mindy Project. Hey, if you're listening, you should watch that on Hulu. That's pretty funny.
I'm gonna try. I think me and my girlfriend will watch it. I think we would
It's
enjoy
good.
it, yeah.
It's really funny, and it's like it's silly, and it's got so many funny actors are on. I'm like, I didn't know this guy was on this. Like stuff you saw later. I didn't realize that they started out on the Mindy Project, and now she's the writer and stars in that new movie Late Night.
Yes, I just saw a trailer for that the other day.
That looks good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, so you have a girlfriend. Does she live in L.A.
She
with
lives in
you?
Los Angeles with me, yes.
Did you make her move?
I didn't make her move.
But she moved.
She moved.
So you brought her from Staten Island with you.
Correct.
That's nice. Do you like having kind of a Staten Island person with you?
You know, I don't want to say this too loud because I feel like men will kill me, but in certain instances I can see why women deserve 50% of when you get divorced. If I would have went there by myself, I would never have stayed there.
Well, yeah. You're a team.
She is 100% a team.
Yeah.
Like she's my team. If I didn't have her there, just support someone who reminds me of home, someone I can talk to and bounce ideas off of and eat with and just watch TV, no way I would.
Do you
last.
try out all of your bits on her first?
Absolutely.
And does she yay or nay everything?
I just tell her she doesn't know comedy.
Or is that what she says?
If she doesn't laugh, I say you don't know comedy.
But then do you listen to her and say like, yeah, that's not good?
No, of course, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You tweak stuff?
She gets so mad at me because like when her reaction isn't what I want it to be, and then she's like, well, then why do you ask me?
No.
If she doesn't start laughing, I'm like, you know what, just forget it, all right?
Well, I mean, I'm supposed to get you to tell an awkward story, and you don't have to do a long one. But I guess, coming from Staten Island, and now you're in Los Angeles, the types of people are so different. So what's like
that's putting it mild.
What's the most interesting or odd story that's happened in Los Angeles, being someone from Staten Island?
Oh, man.
Because people are just very hippy-dippy. And they're very nice, and I love going to Los Angeles, and I love staying for like a week or two, and you feel it's just like this magical place.
Of course.
But I don't know if I could live there. I feel like New Yorkers are just really honest and
totally.
upfront, like very upfront about everything.
Another reason why I can live there is because of her. I don't interact with anyone.
Yeah.
I literally don't. Like, that's the thing. It's like, how do you put up with people? It's
trying to make it,
I
and
keep
there's
to
like
myself.
this bit of desperation.
I've noticed a lot of people that say they move there for something. They
Yeah.
don't pursue it as hard as they should be.
Yeah.
I moved out there for this, and that's all I'm doing. I don't go out. I don't drink. I don't do anything but this.
That's good. You're focused.
That's all. What am I doing there?
Yeah.
So when people go there, they really want to be involved in nightlife and like take selfies at cool places. I don't do any of that. I'm only there to work. So I have her, and she's my friend. Then when I need a friend, but it's a big part of my material is the difference between Los Angeles and New York. So I make fun of the way Staten Island girls speak because it's ridiculous, but I also make fun of the way girls from Los Angeles speak because it's like this weird generic. I hate saying white because people are like, okay, you're a white kid, but like being Italian from New York, you don't feel white. Like,
right.
You're not actually white.
Yeah.
Like in the terms of like Ohio white.
Right.
You know, like the way you say Eric.
Yeah.
You know, and just little things like that. So like, I don't know where everybody came from, but they all come from different cities and they all say the same words.
Yeah.
It's like this generic, like, I know, a lot of vocal fry.
Vocal fry.
I learned that from my speech pathologist friends. And that's just atrocious.
Everyone does that now.
Everyone. In Los Angeles, it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. I don't have any awkward stories. I got to think, man.
Have you had any really bad shows?
Oh, my God, yeah. Oh, yeah. I had thank God, not recently.
Yeah.
But I've had horrible shows, of course. I had a show, the one I was telling you about with the Drake bit, where there was all 20-year-old somethings in the crowd. I did it.
And you kind of start off.
The lights were on.
This isn't going to
The lights were on.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everyone was just staring at me, and they were just like, okay.
But do you just keep going?
Yeah, of course. You got to.
Like, this is. I have my set. I'm doing my set.
I did one.
I would do this by myself.
Luckily, I just pretend like I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Not laughing or whatever. I get through it. You know, like I know what points I got to hit. Like I think I bomb nicely because I will like giggle at myself and I'm just like, whatever. This is gonna be over soon. But damn, man,
we'll get through this together.
I wish I would have known. I maybe would have thought of a good story to tell. I've never had really any. I'm gonna think of one as soon as I leave here. Of course, I'm gonna be pissed. But I like the Talkward name because I wanted to start a podcast. I wanted to call it Charlie and the Talkward Factory.
There you go.
Or Chatty and the Talkward Factory.
That's good.
So if
you got to do a podcast,
you could steal it.
Everybody needs to have.
I know.
I think everybody has a podcast.
I know. I have it's hard to come up with all the shit that I come up with, and I do these video series too of this like little cartoons. So the week goes by very fast, and
everyone can follow you at
Eric ERIC DALESSANDRO. It's extremely long.
Yeah.
Just forget it. You're not going to look it up.
We'll have it up on the site when this goes up. And
I'm at Eric D'Alessandro at everything. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
So you can follow him online. He has a show in Long Island in June.
June 15th.
June
14th. Two shows. They both sold out, luckily. And then 15th, there's still tickets on sale for the 10 o'clock show.
And you can see him on Instagram, do all of his bits.
Yes.
He's got very hilarious videos a couple times a week. And what's the girlfriend's name? Oh.
Leanna.
Leanna. Hello, Leanna. Thank God for you. This guy would be
dead.
Well, maybe not dead.
Probably dead.
He'd still be in Staten Island, maybe.
I don't know what. I don't know.
Because people don't leave.
Don't tell her about the 50% thing, though. If we get divorced, I don't want to give her anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that kind of depends on what state you get married in, right?
I'm only joking.
New York's is 50% no matter what, right?
I don't
New York
know.
is.
California is for sure, I think.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you said people don't leave where we come from.
They don't leave Staten Island.
They don't leave Staten Island. They barely come to the city.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I mean, I
lived in New York. I've lived in Brooklyn since almost 17 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And all in the same apartment.
And they all sound like you, which
and
is
I
funny.
rent.
Which
really?
sounds nothing like my dad, who's from Brooklyn, which is interesting.
There's some old school Brooklyn guys in Brooklyn still. But the people from Staten Island, they're Staten Islanders.
They are, but it's really Brooklyn. It's really Brooklynites, as they call themselves. Because the Verrazano Bridge, which connects Brooklyn to Staten Island, they call it the Guinea Gangplank.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever gone through Staten Island is when I drive through it.
Yeah, of course.
I go over the bridge.
And you get the hell out of there.
And I take the ferry. It's always a good thing to take people who are visiting because you can just ride the ferry for free.
Absolutely.
And you can buy
I'm taking it right when I go home.
They have the tall boys that people drink.
You can drink on there.
You can drink there's a tall boy, like a Bud Light. They have it in a bag. And then you go to Staten Island, and you get off, and you go to there's a couple of top pizza places.
Oh, yeah.
So there's like 2 major pizza places, I think.
So the ones that I'm going to name, you've definitely never been to before because they're not really by the ferry at all.
There's Danino's.
Yes, that's a really good one.
You impressed that I know a Staten Island pizza place?
That was good. That was really good. Yeah, nowhere near the ferry, too. That's far from the ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first boss in New York is Nick Danino. And
yeah. They have one in the city, too, now in the village.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. Right by, like, the Angry Buddha laughing. The Laughing Buddha.
Laughing Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right over there, not too far from there. It's ridiculous. But, yeah. I love Staten Island. Staten Island is a tough place because a lot of the rest of the city hates it.
Do they have comedy clubs in Staten Island that you've done?
No.
Have you done them?
Oh, they used to have one called the Looney Bin where Pete Davidson got his start at.
Oh, that's right. He's from Staten Island.
Yes, he is. And they're not really big fans of him because he's not, the typical, like, they're very conservative in Staten Island. They're very
but I mean, he is a Staten Island kid. You know?
Totally. Absolutely. But like I'm saying, he's like I think I definitely like make fun of Staten Island, but it's more of like they can tell it's with love. Mm-hmm. Maybe they got his misconstrued that his was out of hate. Yeah. But he's from there, so he can say whatever the hell he wants about it because his experience is definitely true. Yeah. And I just remembered one of the main, going back to the Mindy Project for some reason, one of the main characters on the Mindy Project, the show takes place in New York City. Then one of the main characters is Staten Island guy. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's his name?
No, his name is Danny.
He's definitely. They probably didn't do it
And
justice, right?
I just watched an episode where he went back to Staten Island, and he had all the Staten Island buddies, and it was all about like him not coming back because he thought that they all look down on him now because he wasn't coming back to the island. It was really. Oh,
I want to watch that.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Oh, I like that.
It was a lot of like talking to this guy's ma. Hey ma, it was like all like that. It was really funny.
Yeah, that's
you got to watch this show.
I'm gonna watch it.
All right,
is she sponsoring this episode?
Oh, she should be. I'll wait for those checks. But I'll definitely check out your episode of Insecure on HBO.
Right. About 5 seconds.
You vomit in an Uber?
Yeah.
Sounds exciting.
Hey. It's a lift.
I'm sorry. It's a lift.
Ridiculous.
I know.
I mean, it is HBO. Come on. It's Lyft.
It's a lift, everybody. This is so much fun. Thanks for coming on the show.
Of course, man. Thank you so much.
It's Eric D'Alessandro, everybody. Follow him online. Thank you for listening. This is Talkward. Visit us at weeklyhumorist.com. And come out for the guaranteed delivery shows first Tuesdays of the month at 110 Wall Street. Free tickets available at guaranteeddelivery.com. I'm Marty Dundix, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.